Hi there and welcome to the RevOps show, where we cut through the noise and get real about what it takes to accelerate revenue and lead with clarity. Today's episode, Doug and Jess pick up where they left off last time with a one-year reflection on the revenue acceleration framework. From blind spots and surprises to what Doug would have written differently if the book came out today, we're getting real about what's still true, what's changing, and how businesses can keep up without burning out. So with that, let's jump in.
Jess!
Doug!
What's going on? Should we start live streaming the RevOps show?
Oh, God, no. No.
We could take callers?
We could take callers?
Yeah, people could call in. People could say things like, hi, long-time listener, first-time caller.
They could. Do people say things like that anymore?
I don't know. I haven't listened to talk radio in a long time.
Same.
But it's on my bucket list. I want someone to say to me, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. There you go. I just said it to you.
You're not calling in. It has to be like an actual call-in.
Okay. All right. Fine.
My phone's ringing.
Oh, Lord. This is a Friday recording, so we know it's going to be off the rails.
Friday, midday. And you know what next week is, don't you, Jess?
Beach week?
The winter is my enemy. The beach is where I'd rather be.
Yeah, beach week for you. I will not be at the beach next week.
Well, do they have beach in?
Yes, they have beaches in Texas. We've talked about this.
San Antonio.
In San Antonio, no, they do not. They do not have beaches here.
Although apparently there's more waterfront property in San Antonio today than there was previously.
What are you referring to? I don't know what you're referring to.
I saw on the news this morning, like lots of floods. There's been
God. Yeah, we got 6 inches of rain. My dad actually texted me to check on me to make sure that I was okay. Because there's nowhere for the water to go here, just so we're clear. Just floods.
So there's waterfront property.
My lawn that was completely brown is now completely green with weeds. This is what happens when we get a torrential downpour. Yep. Yeah, we got a lot of rain. Max didn't know what to do because when there's water on the ground, that's very confusing for him.
I would imagine for most Texas dogs, that is confusing.
Yeah, he's like, what's happening? We had a tornado watch.
7?
What's that?
I hear you guys are breaking 100 degrees already.
Oh, we've been breaking 100 degrees since like April. I don't know what that's not unusual here. Yeah, we had a tornado watch on Wednesday night, so that was fun.
Have you had to actually go into like tornado protection mode?
Yes. So when we lived in the Midwest somewhere, we were in an area that was very frequently tornado, like annually, you had tornado season and you'd have to go. And Dallas is actually close enough to like Oklahoma where it gets hit quite frequently that there were a couple of times in Dallas where, we had to do that.
Wasn't Dorothy from Oklahoma? Or was she from Nebraska?
Kansas. We're not in Kansas anymore. Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. Yeah. So, yes, I did. And I grew up doing like tornado drills at school and stuff.
So speaking of Dorothy, are you excited?
Yes, about Wicked Part 2. I am cautiously optimistic.
Is the subhead for Wicked 2 wickeder than ever?
It is not.
That'd be good though, wouldn't it?
It would be. It would not be as good as
wickeder than ever.
It would not be as good as what it is, which is For Good, which is a reference to one of the songs.
We're
leaning in on this. I have not bought my tickets yet. I don't think tickets are available yet.
If they were available, would you have bought them?
I would have, yes. 100%. I'm cautiously optimistic. I really liked the first one. I'm nervous this one's not going to be as good. Like we talked about, the second half of the show is not as strong as the first half.
So, this is basically based on the musical, right?
Yes, it is absolutely based on the musical.
Like, did they break it up at Act 1, Act 2?
So Act 1, they did. That's what they did. And I think I shared this.
Does the musical break there? Went on?
Yes, they did it so they could end on Defying Gravity, because it is such a, it is one of the best endings to a stage musical ever. Because the song ends and you fade to black and it's incredible. They did it because if you don't end the movie on that, it's not as impactful.
I think the real reason they did it was money.
Oh, I'm sure it's cash grab. Yeah, I'm sure. But we'll see.
You got fired on pretty badly.
Who?
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, I've heard it's horrible.
I love Westerns, but I don't know if I can sit through that.
You know, it's funny. When I was a kid, I loved Westerns, but for some reason, as I got older, I guess I watched all the Westerns. I guess we have a allotment of Westerns that you can actually, so they've never appealed to me that much. But yeah, apparently, what was it? He was supposed to have, when they filmed part 1, part 2, they haven't released part 2 because part 1 did so poorly.
Right.
I mean, to my, they haven't even released it. Like, it's not even available on stream. And it was supposed to be 4 parts or something insane like that.
It's going to be his epic.
And he was finding the whole thing.
Him and Francis Ford Coppola, man.
Well, you know this because I learned it from, if you didn't know this, where you probably learned it from what went wrong. Coppola had to, what was it? It was Apocalypse Now. He had to risk everything.
Yeah.
But it was Apocalypse Now, not Godfather, that he risked everything.
No, it was Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, and he was
and like, it's amazing that anyone survived that movie.
Well, and his thing was like, you know what, if I lose everything, the thing that I've gone for me is I'm still a good director. Like, someone's still going to hire me and pay me a lot of money to direct a movie.
Yeah, I don't know that that's the case anymore right now for Francis Ford Coppola.
Although I don't think Coppola lost it all on the last one. I think he lost a lot, but I think he's still doing okay.
I'm sure he is. He's got his vineyard. He's got his wines. He's got his daughter and his granddaughter making good movies. So
what about his what, isn't Nicolas Cage nephew or something?
He is, yeah. Nicolas Cage is connected to the Coppola family somehow.
I know he's Nicolas Coppola.
Yeah. I think nephew.
I'm pretty sure if he wanted to or needed to do a cash grab, someone would hire him to direct a movie, and
So he needs to direct a movie and put Nick Cage in it. That's what needs to happen.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Just turn them both up to 11. You're missing the big movie news though, Doug, of the week.
Oh, big movie news.
Let's see if we think it's the same. If we're talking about the same thing, this is going to be fun. What are you talking about? So am I.
I cannot tell you how happy I am. I had given up hope.
Mel Brooks going to be able to see the movie is the question. Is he going to make it?
I think he will. I think Mel Brooks has so much humor in him that he's going to live. If anyone lives forever, it'll be Mel Brooks.
Humor and healthy living. Healthy living, from what I understand.
Did you see the trailer announcement for it?
I saw the trailer announcement with the scroll that lasted, I think, a full 2 minutes.
30 years ago, there was one Star Wars trilogy. Then there was the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, the sequel to the prequel, the prequel to the sequel.
Here's where Mel Brooks excels. The joke went too long, and then it went so long it was funny again. He excels at that.
You know who else was amazing at that? Johnny Carson.
Oh, yeah.
Carson was the guy who realizes that if a joke bombs, the key is to stick with it.
You just keep going until it's funny.
Come on your side and start to laugh with you if you just keep the joke going.
Yep. So that's the big movie news of the week. Not Wicked. Not the Wicked trailer.
And you know what's fascinating about the movie?
What?
Rick Moranis is making his comeback.
So I saw the comments and people were like, well, if Rick Moranis isn't in this, I'm not. And then people were posting responses.
How about Rick Moranis, who just stepped away? Just stepped away because he had kids to raise.
Yep.
Take care of his kids.
It's pretty amazing. So I'm in that pocket of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and like Rick Moranis was freaking huge. Just massive.
Was that the same time as Look Who's Talking?
Yeah, around the same time. Yeah, same time frame.
And what was it? Some 3 fathers and a baby. Three
men and a baby. And then you had 3 men and a little lady. The sequel. Speaking of sequels,
those were all around the same time, weren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, they kind of that was like the place where everything just kind of melds together for me.
The late 90s, mid to late 90s.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah,
that is about right. Yep. All right, Jess, what are we talking about today?
So we're doing part 2 of us kind of reflecting on the book because we're roughly a year.
If one episode focused on the revenue acceleration framework is good, two episodes must be better.
Exactly. Well, there were some like, so we talked about key concepts in the last episode from the book and unpack those a little bit. I want to use today's episode as a reflection of some things. Now that we're a year removed, you've recorded the audio version of the book as we talked about last time. So I want to kind of reflect on some questions of what you've learned looking back, what we might have missed. So yeah.
I won't disappoint you.
What's that?
I said, I hope I don't disappoint you.
We'll see. So where I want to start is, what's one prediction that you made in the book that you would reverse?
I thought about this pretty hard. This is where, like, again, right out of the gate, I don't want to disappoint you. I mean, first off, there's not a lot of predictions in the book. I really wrote it. The focus is on the framework. I didn't get into how to do this because my point, a lot of my point is, the first key to success is define your game. The second key to success is play your game. And everyone's game is different. That was, part of my caution was you can't just copy someone else's playbook and expect, no matter how successful they've been with their playbook, and expect that you're going to, have the same experience. So, and again, having just finished the recording of it, there's nothing that I read that as I was speaking out loud, that I was like, oh, I wish I could take this back. I mean, it's funny because in one section I say, even as I write this book, in this case, I said, even as I record this, the economy is going through a shift.
Yeah.
The winds are changing. And the funny thing, not funny, is that was true a couple years ago. And it's true again.
Yeah.
With everything going on. I think the thing that's missing from the book, that, like, if I were to have written it today, that I probably would have addressed more directly, is AI. So, like, I don't know that I even mention AI in the book. I talk about technology.
Yeah.
And we can get into that later. I mean, there's two things. I mean, so AI obviously would have addressed AI directly. B, I probably would have used it for some of the process.
Would it have been in a place where you could have? I mean, this goes a little bit to the rapid.
Well, I'm saying if I were to record, if I were to have been writing,
if you were to
today,
now,
if it was just coming out today.
Yeah.
Because it would have been a year ago that the writing would have been pretty much completed. And yeah, there was, I mean, in a lot of ways, like, I don't know, the noise has gotten a lot louder about AI in the last year, and some of the models have gotten better, but everyone, like, there's lots of AI providers in the experimentation phase. I think it's much more, I think I mentioned in the last episode that, the thing about AI right now, the thing about large language models, if you ask the question, where are they on the hype cycle? The answer is they're kind of along the entire hype cycle from not even at peak hype. So there's still more hype to come. So some of them have come through the trough of disillusionment and are on the pathway to productivity promise. And I forget what the upslope, the gradual upslope is called. But yeah, so I don't, like, was there anything as you looked at the book and thought about it and that you were like,
I don't think so. I mean, AI is definitely the piece. We talked quite a bit about AI last time because it was something that wasn't addressed directly. You referred to technology more than AI itself, and so I think aside from that, no. What are the questions you get most frequently?
Oh, I was going to read something
on the book. Oh, you were. I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
The 5 principles for implementing an effective tech stack. The business process must drive the technology, not the other way around. The simplest stack that meets the organization or system's needs is the best tech stack. Automation is the byproduct of a good process, not the objective. If you can't do it manually, you can't automate it. Don't buy technology, hire it. Focus on the jobs to be done. We talked about that in the last episode, and solve for the whole business, solve for the whole and the whole business. Like those 5 rules are only more important, and it's probably harder than ever to stick to those 5 rules.
I'm laughing because I think 2 of those, like, we directly were having discussions about earlier this week.
And I think what people forget is, AI is in so many ways, it's just really massive. It's mass rapid automation.
Yeah.
It's automation. I mean, it's turning over the design of automation to the tool, which, could be promising, but is also,
Well, so it's an interesting thing because you mentioned if you can't automate it, or if you can't do it manually, you can't automate it. So we frequently will actually force something to truly be manual before we'll even address automating it, because you realize things as you've gone through that process. I think the ability to kind of hand that over the tool doesn't, like, you just don't have something in place to stop yourself from doing that. And we find frequently when you try to automate before you've done it manually, like, that's where things break down. Like, and bad things happen.
Yeah, the thing that's interesting, and I don't mean to make this an episode about AI, but because as we all know, Jess, the episode is about the revenue acceleration framework. It's learned without the learning. It's knowledge without the learning.
Yep.
And there's a lot of second, third, and fourth order effects that are going to come from that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what are the questions you get most frequently about the book?
How was I so insightful at such a young age?
Oh my goodness. I should have expected this.
How do I know if I'm doing it right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned it when I started the business, the process that we brought out. Our first step of the process was define your game. So, like, if you think about the interviews that I've done over the last year, we just had one come out, a podcast that I was on a couple months ago. The element about defining your game really stuck, even though, like, that wasn't necessarily, like, I don't know that I intended to have that be the message, but that's what a lot of, now I don't regret it. Like, if that's what people got from it, I think that's a really powerful thing to get. I think another question is, how do I do this? And the reality is that's the next book, right? Because this book wasn't designed to be like, there's a lot of how-to out there. The problem, and Lord knows, I mean, it is, I think the hardest thing in running a business today, running a small business today, I wake up every day going, worrying, am I missing the boat? Am I missing, am I falling behind? And I'm not prone to that. So I can only imagine how, like, AI technology, this person's doing that person's doing that. It's like, I'm not saying I'm the leading thinker on any of this stuff, but I think it's safe to say I'm smarter than the average bear. And I'm, overwhelmed by it. I think it's so easy to fall into that gap of being overwhelmed by what you're not doing, that really reinforcing that focus of what are you doing. And I talk about it in the introduction and early parts of the book. My goal with the book was not to give you answers so much as to enable you to ask better questions.
Yep.
And so I think, the how do I do it questions are better questions because they're getting defined more by what is your game, what are your keys to this to success, what is your critical few.
That makes sense. What's your answer when you get the question, how do I know if I'm doing it right?
My real answer is you're probably not, but like in a lot of ways that's the wrong question.
Okay.
The right question is, what am I learning?
Okay. Yeah.
The right question is what's the progress?
Yep.
Right. There is no, I mean, everything you do is a series of trade-offs. It's a question. And the challenge with the question of, am I doing it right, is you're trying to find this this utopian path that gives you the good without the challenge. And when you, I mean, the other message that I wanted to get across, like, how do you make sense of a complex ecosystem? How do you make sense of a system of systems?
Yep.
I think that's the piece that I missed. Like, if I think about the book, going back to like, what's the prediction?
Yeah.
That I would change. I would say the part that I missed, something that I talk a lot about that I wish was in the book more, is the importance of a strong central operating system to enable the flexibility and resilience. I talk about flexibility and resilience, but to enable the flexibility and resilience. Like, the reason that this is so important, the reason that having a framework like the revenue acceleration framework guide what you're doing is so that you can have that strong, robust central operating system that enables people to be working from the truth. You know, how can they be doing different things at different times in different ways in an aligned fashion, right? How can I be asynchronistically aligned?
Yeah.
And I think if I had it, like, there's a section that I would add to the book about that.
Cool. You answered my next question with that, which was what's the blind spot that you've noticed as you've gotten feedback? It sounds like that's it.
Yeah, I guess that and I think I might have hit a little bit more on. I mean, you know, the funny thing is, as you're reading the book, you're like, oh, you know, this doesn't go deep enough.
Yeah.
I wish I could go deeper. And that's the painful part of reading your own book. You know, the difficulty is the book would have been 600, 700, 800 pages. And you know, this is a nice book in the sense of it, like, I think this book helps make sense of lots of other books. Yeah. So I think, you know, understanding that's an aspect of the why. I don't know that I like blind spot isn't that, if I'd answered the question directly, what's the blind spot? Mm-hmm. You know, the blind spot probably would have been a little bit more about how to build the metrics to monitor your journey. Though again, you know, the challenge when you look at this is, I don't know that I wanted the book to be any longer than it is. So what would I have taken out to put that in?
Right.
That's the trade-off.
Yep. There's trade-offs in everything. So in the book, you talked about that the good zone, quote unquote, will keep shrinking. Given what we've talked about with AI, given what we've talked about with the world in general, has that accelerated faster than you thought?
Has it accelerated faster than I thought? No, it hasn't accelerated faster. And to some degree, it may be even like good is good enough, maybe a little bit more than I had predicted. Mm-hmm. Like, I would have expected it. I think what is interesting, and I thought about this, and this is what makes, don't you want to, like, this is what has that feeling of being overwhelmed so prevalent in so many places. Don't you want to be able to, like, just kind of take a break
every day?
Like, don't you want to have just, hey, we're going downhill, let's coast a little.
Yeah.
The stability of good mm-hmm. has shrunk at a faster rate.
That's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you know, you got AI, tariffs, turnover. Like, every day there's something that's happening that's shaking the status quo in a way. So, like, you know, if the rate of change on the outside is greater than like the change is so much more. So to find that place, and the difficulty is you can't. I don't think that you can grow sustainably without confidence.
Right.
And you can't have confidence without stability. I mean, that's what's so damaging about vertigo. Like, don't you feel like we're in a constant state of vertigo?
Yeah, I do.
Right. And you're like, okay, hold on. You know, let's just like, you know, we joke about the pause button, but don't you just want to hit pause, take a deep breath, reorient? So that whole, if you think about the OODA loop, mm-hmm. I mean, that whole observe, orient, like it's just, we're under it. You know what? I don't know that we're under constant fire, but it feels as though we're under constant fire.
Yep.
At a rapid rate. So that difference of like how much what's that safety space for good? I think that's the aspect that's that's shrinking at probably a faster rate than I predicted.
Okay. So this is going to feed interestingly into my next question. So you talk in the book about this philosophy of suck less, which is don't try to get it right. Don't try to be perfect. Just try to suck a little bit less every day. And how has what you just talked about impacted companies having that philosophy, being able to adopt that philosophy, and how is that impacting the success for organizations?
Well, that goes back to how do I know am I doing it right?
Right.
The real question is, are you doing it less wrong than you were before?
Right.
I think, it's the Instagramification of the world.
The Instagramification of the world. Wow.
Right. It's you get to see everybody in what is supposedly the best moment of the best time of their life, right? It's the old, every time you go to a friend's house for dinner and their house is always clean and in order. And it's like, well, yeah, of course, because they clean up. People are coming over for dinner. Right. So you see there's so many manufactured moments that like understanding what's really happening is harder than ever. So it feels like, oh my God, why everyone's doing it right?
Yeah.
I go on LinkedIn, I get exhausted.
I think we talked about this last time too.
and so I think that aspect of it's more important but harder than ever. What is the game that you're playing? What is your journey? I think the idea of suck less. I mean, the reality is most people, when they're asking these questions, are probably they're probably pretty good to start with, right? I mean, if you're doing it really wrong, you don't usually have to ask the question.
Yep.
Right. You're getting that feedback pretty direct, pretty harsh. So, the other truth is you only have to do a couple things right to, as long as you're not doing a bunch of things really wrong.
Yep.
That, and I talk about that in the book, there's the wrong, there's not wrong, there's not right, not wrong, but it's not right. And there's right.
Yeah.
Right. Where are you on there? So I think I think the idea, and I stole the phrase, for me, it's a combination of two phrases. I stole the phrase from Joe Mack, who used to tell the Chicago Cubs the year they won the World Series, hey, let's try to suck less today.
Yeah.
And the SEALs mantra of embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Right. Like the hard stuff, like this is supposed to be hard. Growing a business is supposed to be hard. There's the old phrase, if it were easy, everyone would be
right.
Be doing it. If it was intuitive, everyone would be doing it.
Yep.
I think that there's so much noise and so much false certainty in the world. And that's what I mean by the Instagramification.
Yep.
Right. You see everybody and it looks like, and we live in such loud echo chambers that it's hard to get that balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're attracted to things that we're attracted to areas that we need to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the algorithm then brings you more and more of that, which just makes you feel like more people than ever have it all figured out, even though they're all just making it up and most of it's probably not even working.
It's true.
I tell myself to go to bed at night, to go to sleep at night.
Well, whatever helps you sleep at night, Doug. Is there anything from the book that you were certain about when you wrote it that you're now not so certain of or even uncertain of?
No, you know me. I'm not certain of much. I sound certain of a lot. We continue to see businesses that do lots of things without having a solid strategy in place. Mm-hmm. Understanding what their model is, those things. So like I still think, I mean, with some very small exceptions, if this book were coming out today, I'd feel the same way about it that I did when it came out in the confidence in the book and the confidence of the concepts. I mean, I wrote it. I wanted something to be timeless. I wanted it to be, 5 years from now, I want it to be as accurate. So it's more, how do you adapt and evolve in whatever circumstance or situation that you're playing? Because, by the way, your business, outside of the world changing, your business is changing as it progresses. I think the levels of complexity that we're dealing with, and I'll tell you, the low hanging fruit. Mm-hmm. This might just be where we are now, but the low hanging fruit isn't where it was. The nature of how search has radically changed in so many ways. That aspect of where and how do you find people that don't want to be found?
Yep.
I mean, we're all becoming investigative journalists in some way, and I think having a path for that. I think the first thing you have to do is you have to be worthy of being found.
Yeah.
Right. That's a place where I would probably build up a little bit more, and I would probably have spent a little bit more time talking about that, so that when people do find you, building those nets, I think, is more important than ever, so that when people do find you, there's a reason for them to come back. Building your communities, I think, is something that I would talk about a little bit more. Though again, the book wasn't set to be a tactical book. The book was set to be something to help you interpret those tactics more effectively. The book was really written to help, really, bring some meat without beating you over the head that strategy is not a plan.
Right.
This book is all about setting your strategy so that the tactics can build and align on each other.
Makes sense. If you could go back in a time machine to Doug pre-book before you started
NVIDIA.
What's that?
I would have told my younger self to buy NVIDIA.
What is one thing you would have told yourself before writing the book if you could go in a time machine? Besides buy NVIDIA.
Slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Couple places in the book where I'm like, you know what? This could have I probably could have dug into something a little bit deeper, and I probably could have found something to take out to allow a little bit of a deeper analysis. But I think there's this. I would tell myself this relative to the book, but relative to other things as well. There's so much of this. I've got to finish.
Yeah.
I think slow down. Run your race. Don't run somebody else's race.
You mentioned that How Do I Do This that's the next book, but I also want to ask what problem are you working on now? What are you currently maniacally focused on?
So I'm kind of in an exploration phase.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not as maniacally focused on any one thing, but it's how do we make the tech that we're using more of a strategic enabler, of a bridge from strategy to execution and then back into strategy. How is the role of sales changing? And what do we need to do to make sure, I don't think salespeople are going away, but I do think the role that they're playing needs to change. I think that they really need to become curators of knowledge more than anything. And they've got to deliver a point of view. Yep. The need for insights is greater, which connects the dots to how can, as I think about who this book is written for most, I think the most underutilized role is the role of the sales manager. Side note, we have a webinar coming up on this topic, but how do you leverage the role? I think we need to figure out what the role of the sales manager is.
Yeah.
Know what the role of the salesperson is. I think the next book is going to be about what does it mean to really create value in the sales process, so that you are in that. I've started calling it the activated advisor. Mm-hmm. There's the whole concept of the trusted advisor, and
yep.
The problem with trusted advisor is it's become trite, and there's an element of, from a sales standpoint, I'm not advising just to advise. It's not. It's activating things that aren't activated, and so I think that relevance earlier in the process I think that it's going to be harder and harder and harder for businesses to stand out once somebody is looking for something. So how do you flip this on its head and become relevant before you're looking for something? I think that's where tomorrow's winners are going to excel.
Cool. I think the biggest, so two things really. So those five key areas that you read from the book, make sure you're paying attention to those items. We'll drop them into the show notes. And then also what you talked about of the importance of a strong central operating system and making sure you're paying attention to that. I know we talk about it with clients frequently. Can't remember the last time we talked about it on the show, but I wholeheartedly agree that that's key to success in your business. So I think those are my biggest takeaways from our conversation today.
Yeah, I think what's been actually good for me in revisiting the book is just the overall importance of really defining what your game is and playing to your game, play to your strengths, not to your opponents. And I think that when you think about the role of revenue operations, I don't think that you can have strong, let alone strategic RevOps if you don't have clarity about the game that you're playing. And so I think when you define your game, you take in the first biggest step to saying no to shitty RevOps.
Until next time.
That's a wrap on part 2 of the anniversary edition of the RevOps Show. If there's one thing to take away, it's that defining your game isn't just a first step, it's the foundation. Thank you so much for listening, and if Doug and Jess stirred up any thoughts or questions, we would love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out to hannah@liftenablement.com for any questions, thoughts, or inquiries about the show. Make sure you follow, rate, and share if this episode got you thinking. We've got more insights coming your way, and until then, keep accelerating and just say no to shitty RevOps.